My dear students and guests, good afternoon. What a pleasure to talk to you. Today, I can say with a lot of confidence that we have been able to launch the program leading to the award of the International Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance successfully. Since April last year, we have been having around 90 people following this course. And if you look at the videos for this program, you will realize that we have a mix of professionals who are already in this sector, who are eager to follow this 10-month program. This program has been designed in collaboration with the Financial Services Institute. In fact, Open University has been working on such programs with FSI, which has a long-standing experience in the field. And we feel proud of this partnership because we believe that through this partnership, we have been able to help the sector, we have been able to help the country, and we will continue to do so. This program is not only about lectures. This program is not only about theory. This program is about interaction. This program is about solving real problems and asking pertinent questions. I'm happy to tell you that we have professionals who would be helping you throughout your journey on this program. They have a number of years of experience, and they also are very good at the delivery. So, if you have not yet made the decision, the time is now. Join the International Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance to ensure that you have with you the certificate that employers are looking for, so that you are empowered to contribute positively to make our island, this sector, safe and attractive to the investors. Wish you good luck and have a good and fruitful course with us. Thank you.
Dr. Sukon, thank you very much for the welcoming remarks. Hi, good afternoon, students, compliance professional, aspiring compliance professionals. Hi, my name is Naushad. I'm the lead trainer at the Financial Services Institute. I'm here today to run you through an introductory talk on the International Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance. This course represents an initiative of the Ministry of Financial Services and Good Governance, a course supported by the Financial Services Commission, which is the non-banking financial regulator of Mauritius. Well, today we're here to tell you more about this course and also to answer your questions. So I'm just going to ask you if you have the ability to just type in your questions, send your questions to a WhatsApp number that has been communicated just at first. And we'd be very glad to attend them at the end of this presentation. So let me tell you more a bit about this course. Well, it figures in the competency standards of the FSC. The competency standards of the FSC pretty much tell any aspiring compliance professional basically what are the qualifications and experience requirements that you need to be able to attain these positions. Now, these positions seem quite attractive, and we'll tell ourselves why would we like to really position ourselves for careers in compliance. I think one of the main reasons would be there's a huge demand in the sector. There's a huge demand in the sector for compliance professionals, for compliance officers, for money laundering reporting officers. Well, we've thought about that. We've looked at the needs of the sector at the level of the FSI and the Open University, and we've come up with this postgraduate course. Now, one interesting aspect of this postgraduate course is that at the end of it, you get the opportunity to apply for a master's degree with the Open University. And that master's degree is a top-up qualification. So basically, you would have to complete an assignment and a dissertation, and then, of course, complete your International Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance, and you'd be there with a master's degree at a very reasonable cost. Now, as I mentioned to you, we are offering a course that's recognized by the regulator. I myself am a staff of the Financial Services Commission, and I'm seconded at the Financial Services Institute specifically to really support the FSI with the delivery of this course. So I invite you to have a look on the website of the FSC. You will notice that this course is recognized. And what is the advantage? Well, if you've completed a degree, you've got a fairly elevated, I would say, entry requirement of completing 5 years relevant experience. That's acceptable to the Financial Services Commission. But the one advantage of completing the International Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance that we offer together with the Open University, well, you get to have only 3 years, a reduced experience requirement. Now, why is this important? Very obviously, you have to think, when we start a career, we all start somewhere. Now, while we all start somewhere, it's also something to think about that, you know what, in a few years' time, I'd like to reach management positions. I'd like to reach senior management positions. Now, the laws of Mauritius recognize compliance officers as senior management officials. So, with this qualification and around 3 years of relevant experience in compliance, you would be able to position yourself as a senior management official at the heart of banks, at the heart of non-banking financial institutions such as fund management firms, such as leasing companies, insurance companies, fund management teams, investment advisors, so on and so forth. So these positions would be at your reach. And this is why we would tend to encourage you to apply and join us on this course. Now let's have a look at this course and what it entails. I think it would be good for me to have you have a quick run through of some of its contents. Basically, it's consisted of 10 modules. Now those 10 modules we'll have a quick run through. We've all heard about the 40 recommendations of the Financial Action Task Force, also known as the FATF. Now, if there's something about the FATF, it's that they set all the international standards when it comes to the field of AML-CFT. Now, at the International Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance with this course, we do recognize the importance of the 40 recommendations, so we start pretty much with this module. By completing this first module, your foundational knowledge would be the most important international standards in AML-CFT. This is where we start, and then we scale up this beautiful professional development journey. Now, obviously, after completing the 40 recommendations, we move on to the business risk assessment. Now, I've spoken to plenty of compliance professionals in the private sector, and they would tell you, you know what, compliance professionals who practice as consultants, they charge large amounts of money for the development of a business risk assessment. It can go over 100,000 rupees just for one. So imagine yourself completing the International Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance and throwing yourself into a career. You would have the opportunity to sell your skills. You would be able to monetize those skills to your own personal advantage. Not only that, you would have learned the methodology to really go on and develop business risk assessments, be it for banks, be it for licensees of the GRA in the gambling sector, for FSC licensees, and even real estate groups who are now reporting persons under the Financial Intelligence and Anti-Money Laundering Act. Of course, one very important aspect of financial crime compliance involves the ongoing monitoring. So here, we take you through the entire set of duties and responsibilities for compliance officers and MLROs. We also bring you the essential skills and knowledge that is required to make sure that you're able to position yourself as a resourceful person for the boards of the financial institutions you'll be working for. Now, the client risk assessment is also an essential component of the risk-based approach. We understand that all reporting persons have to do client risk assessments, and accordingly, we teach you a detailed methodology to make sure that at the end of the course, you know how to develop a proper one that's totally compliant with the requirements of the Financial Intelligence and Anti-Money Laundering Act. We all too often heard about corporate governance. Now, there's corporate governance in general, but there's also corporate governance from an AML-CFT perspective. And through Module 5 of the International Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance, we run you through the importance of the board responsibilities, the responsibilities of senior management officials like, of course, the compliance officer and MLROs. The advantage is, when it comes to MLCFT, ultimate responsibility lies on the shoulders of the board. So here we are able to teach you that perspective. We're able to teach you the techniques that you may set up at the level of the organizations that you serve, so you are able to best demonstrate that level of oversight required by those boards. Now, we all know when it comes to compliance professionals, the expectations on your shoulders are that you are the one resourceful person who would have that exceptional flair when it comes to recognizing suspicious transactions. Now, in that module, module number 6, we run you through a whole spectrum of sectors to tell you more about those red flags, those all too important red flags that allow you to really notice whatever could be dubious, whatever could be suspicious, and then eventually what are those steps that you'd be following to make sure that you're able to bring to a conclusion whatever internal investigation you're doing, and what is that methodology you should adopt when it comes to filing an STR. What is that methodology you should adopt when it comes to receiving an STR from a staff member within your organization? What should you do? What are the expectations of the law? And of course, the international best practices will be brought to you during the course of this module. Now, I've always mentioned when it comes to understanding risk-based supervision, one of the expectations of senior management officials and also the boards are that our compliance officers and MLROs should best position our firms from a defensive perspective. So basically ensuring that we're good when it comes to complying with the laws of Mauritius. Now, I think the risk-based supervision tests of the FSC and the Bank of Mauritius is something that needs to be looked at. We do it through Module 7. But additionally, what we do is we've noticed plenty of young professionals throwing themselves into careers of doing compliance audits. Why? Because compliance audits pay very well. So you have the freedom to throw yourself into a career as a compliance auditor. You can imagine compliance audits, the fees vary from $1,000 to $1,500 to even $2,500. Here you come and join us over the course of one module. We'll teach you the detailed methodology of doing compliance audits. And at the end of this process, you would have the testing methodology that's necessary as part of your newly acquired skills. This is what we intend to share with you if you join us on the International Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance. Now, Module 8, when you think about MLROs, money laundering reporting officers, sometimes we may have our own take when it comes to looking at how we see things. We could be speaking today live with, I'm sure, a good number of MLROs and compliance officers. Through experience, I'm sure you've developed a lot of flair, a lot of skill. But at the same time, it's good sometimes to take a moment and ponder at how regulators have been looking at some of the roles of MLROs, how the courts have been looking at the roles of compliance officers, and then we take stock of what should be international best practice and what is the recommended approach, as mentioned in sometimes court cases, enforcement decisions. So here we compile a whole bunch of these international decisions, local decisions, and we analyze them critically. We try and see where things went wrong. Why? Because senior management officials like yourselves, when you complete your international graduate diploma, you'll be looked upon. You'll be looked upon to advise. You'll be looked upon to guide the boards of your organizations to really tell them, well, we've just noticed that something went wrong with one of our clients. What should we do? So basically, we'll give you a good number of examples to try and develop that strategic approach when it comes to dealing with those enforcement decisions. Sanctions. I think sanctions, everyone talks about sanctions these days, especially after the Russian sanctions. The sanctions on Russia by the EU, the US, the UK, have all of these been quite confusing for you? Well, I'd invite you to join us because this is something we definitely discuss as part of the course. Quite naturally, we would capture the United Nations Security Council sanctions. And when you're there and joining us for Module 9 of the Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance, you would position yourself as someone who makes a clear distinction when it comes to economic sanctions. People have an all too much habit to generalize sanctions. Well, when you complete the graduate diploma, you'll be making the difference. You'll see the nitty-gritty, you'll see the exceptions, and you'll be in a better position to understand it as compared to your peers. And of course, you'll be in a better position to advise the juniors that will be working under your supervision once you attain these senior management official positions as compliance officers and MLROs. Now, let's agree, when it comes to financial crime, the fight against financial crime, there's an international aspect. Why? Because there's plenty of cross-border transactions, and you have to also think that there are now innovative, emerging technologies when it comes to the field of financial services. In Mauritius, we have the Virtual Assets and Initial Token Offering Services Act. So cryptocurrencies, virtual assets, they are here now. We'll be looking at cryptocurrencies, virtual assets, new technologies like blockchain, trying to think about how we can assess source of funds when it comes to virtual assets. And at the same time, you have to think about, well, what are those technologies that we're looking at when it comes to compliance in general at the heart of your organization. So this is pretty much what we look at. We try and look at international trends across the EU, across Southeast Asia, and we try and see what may be coming our way very soon as financial services becomes more and more globalized. So this is a quick overview of the 10 modules that we capture as part of the International Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance. Now, let me tell you one thing. Cohort 1 and Cohort 2 are pretty much ongoing at the moment. Cohort 1 have finished their last class with us, and we thought, you know what, we'd give the students an opportunity to give us their views, to tell us what they think about the course. And in doing so, we thought we'd compile some of those information. And we asked them, what are the top 5 most attractive factors that bring you to the International Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance? Dr. Sukun rightly mentioned, he said, well, if you're joining the graduate diploma, don't think about it too much as an academic course. This is a practical course. This is a competency-based course. So basically, the fundamental reason, the topmost reason that Cohort 1 participants really identified was that they earned that practical knowledge ever since starting that course. The practical knowledge that they gained, that they were able to quickly and immediately implement at work. Secondly, our participants appreciated the depth of the course content that we had in each module. And let me tell you, some of the participants that we had on that module, let me tell you a bit about the profiles. Well, a bit more than a third came from the banks, the biggest banks that we have in Mauritius. 4 or 5 of the biggest banks that we have in Mauritius have trusted the FSI and the Open University for the International Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance. So we train there compliance teams and internal audit teams or even administration teams. People are very keen when it comes to learning what we have to offer. And another third represents management companies. Now, you would tend to think, well, it should be basically banks and management companies. I'll tell you there's a lot more to it than this. We have other Bank of Mauritius licensees, such as foreign exchange dealers, also known as cash dealers. We've got the biggest real estate groups in Mauritius. Their compliance teams are trained at the Financial Services Institute on the International Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance. Now, let me tell you more and continue with those most attractive factors that our pool of participants really identified. They thought it was great value for money. You can imagine the International Graduate Diploma. I'll be telling you a bit about the price per module, and you'll be quite astounded to know how cheap it can be. Let's not forget, we all are stuck within our organizations. We work, we get on, and we bond through training programs. Imagine sitting next to banking peers, non-banking peers, fund managers, real estate groups, cash dealers, funeral scheme management firms, and in doing so, you get to bond with those professionals. You get to expand your network over the course of 10 months. It's not those networking opportunities that last for an hour or over lunch. So bonds are formed, friendships are formed, and this definitely ranked among the one of the top reasons as to why our cohort 1 participants really appreciated the graduate diploma in financial crime compliance. Expanding your network is definitely going to be extremely important. Why? The next day they're probably looking for a top compliance professional. They've been able to gauge your knowledge and gauge your capabilities, and they'll be reaching out to you for those positions. And of course, well, I'm a bit pleased to know, as the lead trainer of the FSI, that our participants were quite pleased with the blend of resource persons, lecturers, and guest speakers. We've had guest speakers locally, internationally, who've joined us on this course, and the participants also appreciated the presence of regulators. My colleagues at the FSC who were very nice enough to join us and share their overall observations when it comes to what they observed during inspections and investigations, confidentially, of course, and anonymized. Now, let's look a bit at the course. The cost of the course becomes always a very critical question. Well, I think that's one of the most flexible options you may ever come across. We've told you we've got 10 modules. Well, the price per module is 12,500 rupees. And for those of you getting sponsored by your employers, the possibility of an HRDC refund is there for every module. So imagine the cost of that course for your employer would not be 12,500. It would oscillate between 3,000 rupees to 4,000 rupees, depending on the amount that you would get as part of the refund. And of course, if that attendee is eligible for the refund. And don't worry, you don't need to pay all 125,000 rupees at one go. We've told you the payment is at the start of the module. So if a module is on every month, you pay 12,500 at the start of every month. Imagine that effective cost for employers. They get to train compliance officers, potential aspiring MLROs at a total cost between 35,000 to 40,000 rupees. And of course, as you pay every month or at the start of every module, it's interest-free. Now, I asked, as part of the anonymous survey, our cohort 1 participants, I wanted to ask them, well, tell me, did your experience really improve as you were studying with us? Well, I think those immediate learning outcomes that they received from the course really helped them. And as a result, 75% of the respondents during cohort 1 told us that they were either promoted internally at their current place of employment, or they were approached by a prospective employer, or even approached for a future business opportunity, either by a collaborator on the course or someone else. So basically, their potential, they started to shine at their workplaces, and as a result, people eyed them up when it comes to future business opportunities. So that's a very good thing to know. Those learning outcomes are going to help you immediately at work. So that's why we'd encourage you to join us. And that's the word not coming from me, my personal opinion, but those who have completed the cohort 1. Now, 100% of the respondents of our survey also mentioned, well, we'd be very glad to recommend the postgraduate diploma in financial crime compliance to a friend. So basically, they were very happy with their experience and the amount of knowledge that they managed to gain. Now, another quick question that we often have, I think, from many participants is, well, I'm someone who works, I've got a family at home, fitting in a postgraduate course may not always be possible. And the one question comes to, what are the hours like? Well, the hours are quite flexible, if you ask me. You want to fit your studies next to work, life, kids. It's very easy. Why is it very easy? It's because you get the chance to attend either in person or online. Now, yes, you'll be expected to attend class Tuesday evenings for 2 hours after work. You'll only have to be with us for 2 Saturdays per month, and that as well in the mornings until lunchtime. You get to have Saturday for yourself during the afternoon to be with your family and to attend to anything else you'd like to as part of your leisure. At the same time, you have to think about what's guaranteed. We guarantee you semester breaks. So basically between the 2 semesters, you'll be having a break with no coursework, with no exams, with pretty much that's your me time, you and your family. So you could plan your travel plans during those breaks. Of course, us being Mauritians, we enjoy our Christmas and New Year breaks. So you'll be getting a good 2 to 3 weeks break during that Christmas to New Year period. And of course, you've got pre-exam breaks, which means you have the opportunity to go and do your reading, get prepared, practice some questions as you join us for the exam, and move on to the next chapters or wrap up the course altogether. Now, we've come a bit to the end of my little presentation, but I thought, you know what? I've been telling you a lot about some of the impressions that our Cohort 1 participants have. Now, at the end of the Cohort 1, I thought, you know what? I'd reach out to them and I'd ask them, tell me a bit about the course. Tell me how you found it, how you found that experience. And then they thought, yeah, well, you know, let's have a short video on that. And I'd be very pleased to play this video with you today. And after that video, what I'd like to do is I'd like to take on some questions. So let's get it started with the video. Thank you.
So around 10 months ago, the Financial Services Institute had set itself for a new flagship course, the International Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance.
These 10 months have been a roller coaster to learn about financial crime matters and being an expert in the industry.
I've been in compliance for more than 20 years now, and even then it has been a very practical exercise.
I believe that FSI is really creating a remarkable compliance culture in Mauritius.
The course is a very high-level course, meant for accountants, meant for professionals, meant for lawyers, compliance officers, MLROs, bankers.
What I really appreciated with experienced practitioners is the advice that they used to give me.
Because you kind of understand all the industries, you know, all the compliance aspects of all the industries.
You spend time with people, you enjoy their participation, and the bond is here automatic, just like that.
Now, one of the things we've been aiming to do with this course is to have a course that really starts with the fundamentals and the basics, and then eventually scaling up to the more specific and value-added tasks that any compliance professional would have to do.
This builds the whole approach for that, to get to that level that where we want to be internationally.
And when we have a strong reputation of complying, of having proper governance structure in place, proper processes in place, implement the FATF recommendation, with a strong reputation, we attract more investors.
Here we have an open forum where for once the authorities or the regulators or representatives share their opinion. It's not strictly the representation of the authorities, but at least they share what they would expect, and it helps us in strategizing from the private sector.
The way you learn about compliance is about high-level interactions and discussions with experienced practitioners and regulators to get hands-on experience on compliance.
This course is based on the European Credit Transfer System, as was approved by the Open University of Mauritius. Now, this course then represents an opportunity to divide and segment the various modules into various credits. Now, those credits can be used to apply, for example, at other courses where one may have the eligibility being recognized under the European framework, and at the same time, the course content in itself, we make sure that we do capture the Mauritian legal and regulatory framework, but also we make sure that we do cover the international legislation, especially those with the extraterritorial aspects, talking about the US Patriots Act, talking about the EU AML directives, so on and so forth.
I think a very interesting facet of this course is the fact that you can graduate with a master's.
This master's degree is a great opportunity for our participants to wrap up the International Graduate Diploma with all the key practical and aspects and the essential knowledge of what a compliance professional really requires.
I would encourage employers to send their staff.
Come and enjoy yourself, join the crowd, and
It will help develop the person and protect the company at large.
it's really to your benefit.
We've got intakes coming up every year during the month of May and the month of September. Of course, you have to submit your applications a bit early, and this would be the great opportunity for you to embark on a lovely 10-month journey to really bring your compliance game to another level and make sure that you leave this course as a graduate, yes, holding a postgraduate degree, but especially with all the essential knowledge and skills that any compliance professional would require.
So here you are, some lovely impressions of the International Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance, Cohort 1, completing this 10-month journey. And, it was an absolute pleasure to interact with every single one of them. And, fond memories. We look forward to the journey of welcoming you on this course. And now I've had the pleasure to gather some of those questions, and we'll run through them one at a time, which I'm sure they'll help to address any areas or queries you'd like to learn more or know more. So let's run through the first one. What are the profiles of the learners of Cohort 1 and Cohort 2? Well, as I had the chance to mention during the presentation earlier on, I'd be very glad to mention it again. We've got around 4 or 5 banks who have sent their compliance and relationship management teams to us. So these are banks licensed by the Bank of Mauritius. We've got management companies licensed by the FSC. We've got fund managers, CIS managers licensed by the FSC. Their compliance persons and professionals are with us. We've got the biggest real estate groups in Mauritius, all of them, the biggest ones. They've sent their compliance teams with us. We've got foreign exchange dealers who are licensees of the Bank of Mauritius. They're with us as well. We have as well independent AML-CFT practitioners. So basically, they are here to capitalize a lot on the knowledge that we have to offer on the graduate diploma and also learn the key techniques to develop business risk assessments and compliance audits. And they're able to monetize it for their own personal benefit. And we're very happy that they're able to serve our jurisdiction and financial center. Now let's take the next one. The next one says, what is the prerequisite to join the course? The admission requirements when it comes to qualifications. Well, if you've got any university degree, you are able to join the graduate diploma. If you've got a recognized degree, bachelor's degree, that should suffice. If you happen to have a level 6 under the National Qualification Framework diploma, right, you would be able to join us if you have 7 years relevant experience in banking, financial services, and compliance. So 2 routes that are already available to you. Now, another question is, can someone do 1 module at a time? Well, of course, you're going to be doing 1 module at a time during the course. So basically, you'll be completing module 1, moving on to module 2 and module 3. They don't run concurrently, they run one after each other. So 1 module would tend to last around 1 month. You're talking here about 10 modules over 10 months. We're trying to exclude the semester breaks in there, but more or less it lasts around a month for every module. Now, how to proceed if you want to apply for the course? Well, we invite you to apply through the Open University portal of applications. Submit your applications there, fill in your details, and do give us your details, especially of your university degree or diploma, which is the critical element that we require when it comes to determining your eligibility for the course. And that gives us a direct opportunity to secure you a seat. So payment facilities, well, you can imagine, as we mentioned, we don't expect participants to pay 125,000 at one go. It'll be 1 module that will last around a month, and at the start of every module, you'll be paying us 12,500. That's if you are self-funded. Now, if you have the support of your employers, you can imagine Your employers will be paying those fees for you module per module as well. So it's not a huge cost that gets stumped up at first. So you may approach your employers to support you through the process if ever you have that opportunity. Otherwise, remember, it's 12,500 per month. Now, next question. I am an analyst in financial crime. Will this course help me in my career? Well, absolutely. Absolutely. You're presently an analyst, the gentleman or lady who sent us this question. I'm sure you aspire for higher positions. And of course, compliance officers and money laundering reporting officers, they are senior management officials as mentioned in the law under the Financial Intelligence and Anti-Money Laundering regulations. So, I'm sure you don't want to stay in the position of analyst and you want to progress. The one way to progress is to equip yourself with a qualification that's recognized in the competency standards of the Financial Services Commission, the non-banking financial regulator. So if you've clocked 3 years experience in your position or similar positions, and you've completed your international graduate diploma in financial crime compliance while clocking that work experience, at the end of the 3 years, you'll be an eligible compliance officer or money laundering reporting officer. That's a great opportunity for you to go up the ladder of seniority and to make a huge leap in your career. Imagine at such a young age, if you get to make this jump, how much it's going to help you. So join us, apply on the OU website. Now, of course, you may think as well, it's not just a question of making those steps. It's a question also of getting those key areas of knowledge, knowing the complete package of what's expected from a compliance professional. Because that bit of knowledge, as soon as you've earned it, it's going to be yours for life. Is it a program that is tailored for a specific ministry, such as the Ministry of Finance? Well, we tend to fall under the aegis of the Ministry of Financial Services and Good Governance. What you have to think about is the International Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance is a postgraduate qualification. And obviously, you may have the option to complete that top-up qualification for the master's qualification. But imagine getting those qualifications, you would have the chance to work in, for example, ministries such as, well, Home Affairs. Why? Because Ministry of Home Affairs, which falls under the Prime Minister's office, they look after economic sanctions. And as I presented Module 9 to you, Module 9 is about sanctions. This is what we teach in a very thorough and elaborate way. So having that knowledge, you would open up your doors to work in other ministries that may be of more interest to you. You would also have an opportunity to work at the Ministry of Financial Services and Good Governance, and also think about how you could be of help to SMEs. Now, there are various aspects of governance as well that is covered during that course, which I'm sure would be of extreme help to you as you progress in your career at the level of the civil service. Now, another question I'd like to take is, how does the course apply to other ministries such as health, wellness, civil service? You have to think that when it comes to completing the International Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance, you've built yourself a strong set of knowledge, skills, and also abilities, critical abilities to really identify wherever you can find a potential instance of financial crime coming up. So imagine how good you would be at procurement. Procurement is an essential component of, I would say, public service or even private sector when it comes to making purchases and making orders and seeking services and goods. So you could use that expertise to really improve your ability to detect any areas of concern and alert it to the best interest of your organization. So recognizing red flags. This is an entire module. We've got module 6, and we look at a whole range of sectors when it comes to the identification of red flags. Now, imagine in public service, you may also think about the possibility of serving law enforcement agencies. One day you might think about making a jump to an organization such as the Financial Intelligence Unit. Now, the knowledge that you would acquire through the graduate diploma might allow you to position yourself to work for such organizations or for regulators at large. Now, next question. When is the next intake? Well, we're very pleased to let you know. We've got an intake that's beginning in the month of May. Right now, while the intake starts in early May, you have to submit your application by the 3rd of April. So we invite you to go onto the Open University portal, submit your application, and allow us some time to run through your application to have a chance to confirm your seat or inform you about the status of your application. Please do not wait for the last minute and put the chances on your side when it comes to successfully applying to join this course within a few weeks' time. And as you know, it's not so much of an issue when it comes to the fees because it's only around 12,500 rupees per module, and each module lasts over a month. So when it comes to fees, those are your flexible payment options. There's also no interest that applies. So when are the exams? Well, the exams are not going to be so soon. You're going to have some very short assessments and coursework to submit, testing the learning outcomes, really, seeing whether you're really comfortable with whatever is being discussed. Obviously, you're going to get the support that you require at the level of the FSI and with the tutors that will be there for you. But you have the major exams that are set by the Open University, which come up after 5 months. When are assignments usually due? Well, usually you get a 3-week window to complete your assignments. You don't have an excessive amount of writing to do. They're very much, I think, based on competencies. As we said to you, this is a practical course. Don't expect a course that's overly academic. We're here to help you develop that flair, help you develop that basic fundamental knowledge that will position you and improve your abilities as an aspiring compliance professional, unless you're an existing compliance officer in MLR and wish to improve the skill set that you have. Well, we're sure it's worth your while. Now, that's the last question that I have. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all the participants who joined us over the course of this introductory talk and informative session. On behalf of the Financial Services Institute and the Open University of Mauritius, I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of you joining us today, taking the time to be with us live, or joining us online to watch this video at any time thereafter. So thank you very much. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we hope to see you very soon in class at the FSI for the International Graduate Diploma in Financial Crime Compliance. Thank you very much.